So I will give you an allowance of age 21 to 25 because you are still in college, and then the parents are still catering for you for a little. But when you are out of college, you should venture for your own way.
Welcome back, guys. So you've heard what Benji had to say on our conversation earlier, and that forms the basis of our conversation today. Keep the conversations going, hashtag KTN Life and Style. So right about now, we've been joined by the expert, Grace Karaoke, and she is a family therapist.
Yes.
Yes?
Family and marriage.
Family and marriage, guys. Man. That's very heavy. So... Oh wow, this is about to go down, yeah?
On the daily.
On the daily.
She's sorting out our deepest problems.
But guys, keep those conversations coming. Any sorrows you have, it's time to cure them. Right about now. So Grace,
yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
So today we are talking about how long is too long until a man or a woman can leave their parents' house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you want me to answer that?
What do you think? What do you
Can
think?
she even give context as to whether there necessarily is a difference when it's a man or when it's a woman?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say this. We, as I was listening to the conversation before I came on, I think we need to also acknowledge that we do have different sets of families in this country. So we have the family who is able to take care of that man after he goes to college and comes back home.
Right.
And then you have the family which is saying, hey, you need to be supporting us. You know, we did our best. Form 4 was the best that we could do. Now sort yourself out.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have people in our communities who really do not, that's not even a question. For them, it's survival. So they don't even have a question of should I leave my mother's house or not.
Yeah.
They really don't have, that's not even a question for them.
Yeah.
They are just thinking about the next meal, where it will come from.
Right.
And probably they are also being looked up, the men, they are being looked up at the family to provide for them. Sasa tumekusomesha, now you take care of us.
Especially if there's younger siblings.
Oh yes, oh yes. So we have, and probably that's the bigger percentage of the people who we are interacting with in our communities. And then we do have now people like Ndolo, you know, who, did I call you the right name?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though technically that's my dad's name, but yes.
Oh,
You
Benji.
take it anyway.
You go by Benji.
Which is also my grandfather's name. But continue.
Where is your name?
A man has no name.
No. We will do a show on names because we have Alexi here. Who do I have a name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had the privilege, if I had correctly, he had the privilege to finish high school maybe,
Yes.
and then go
Yes.
outside the country.
Yes.
Totally different.
Yeah.
So we kind of, now the question about when should you leave? When should you leave? I will say this, that you should leave your parents' home when you are ready to have your own life.
And that's different for everyone.
Yes.
Right.
So there is no, but I will say, as a counselor, I think mentally and psychologically and even emotionally, there is value to be able to start your independence at least in your early 20s. And to start gaining some independence from depending and relying on your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I call responsibility.
Yes.
I just want to clarify something Susan had said. One of the guys called and gave all these ultimatums to himself. You know, you must do this, you must never come back.
As soon as you leave uni,
Any job,
you have to get a gettable job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the gettable guy. So I wanted to respond to that. And if you allow me, I won't say his name on air, but I have a mentor. He's about maybe 65 now. He's a corporate titan. He's the dad of a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he always told us how growing up, they're from Kiambu. He owns a lot of property. He's done the whole corporate thing. He had a job before that and worked hard. And in their days, you know, there are a lot of opportunities. So he made a lot of clean money. But he always said how, when he left home, his father said, "My son, you are now leaving to go to the big city.
Yes.
I urge you to be responsible, to work hard. But remember, you always have a place here.
Yeah.
They have a tea farm in Kiambu. And so he told me that every time he worked, he always felt that Dad loves me. And everything that I'm doing, I'm adding to my 1 acre in Kiambu. And he never forgot. In fact, he's a billionaire and he told me, you know, Benji, some of the things I do is like in the Bible when it says that the shepherd left the flock to go look for that one sheep
one.
to bring it back.
Right.
So if you have that kind of mentality, as opposed to this pressure, which creates a lot of even divisions, you just feel like, I can't go back there. Wasini Sumbue, I did my responsibility by leaving. I think it's better when you think in terms of, I'm still part of the family, and I have a route. No matter if I buy buildings in Dubai, my route is in Kiambu or Kangundo or whatever, that's where our family is from. And I will always add on to that, and we are family. I think it's important, madam, that we preach that, because a lot of the young guys, you know, they're quite confused and they're dealing with a lot of pressures, which also bring the resentments. I'm sure you see that in your counseling.
Quite a bit. And what that does, what this dad did to this young man, he gave him a sense of value and a sense of belonging, a sense of connection, and a sense of saying, this is, you know, plant your feet here, now bloom.
And then now you can
now bloom. Because then I can go anywhere I go, but I know that my parents have my back. A lot of times what we are doing is we are doing the whole thing of, you know, go fly. But so for parents who are watching us, it's important for us to understand that the foundation of love and care and belonging, and we always have your back, is what needs to happen to our
without
children.
spoiling them too much.
Now, and that is the other part. So you have this extreme where the parents are absolutely nilikusomesha mpaka form 4, now you are on your own. And then you have this other one, you are my son, you are my daughter, no, the world is gonna eat you alive, so I have to keep you close. We need to find a balance. And the balance is saying, I have raised you and I have given you the tools to go out and make it in the world. Now go, and I'm here with you. I'm here for you. You need me, give me a call.
And I'm praying for you.
And I'm praying for you, yes. My
that's
mother.
important,
You just touched on something really important, and we had asked about it earlier, and I wanted you to build on it more, because you're already talking to the parents, right? And I wanted you to clarify, is there something that we can do when the children are younger to kind of raise that independence, to kind of, because I also think sometimes like the plot thing where you're adding to the value of you as a person, and it's motivational, is really good. But do you think that there's something that's up when we're younger? Because even that thing of me being ready mentally and psychologically to leave home, it will come from me, because you were saying parents can coddle.
That's true.
Yeah, but there's some people who are like, hey mom, imagine, I love you, I'll see you every weekend. But I'm out.
They already have that independence.
Exactly.
Right.
So do you think that there's something that parents should be doing, or you've seen parents practice when children are younger, that is more effective in raising independence in kids?
Right. Let's start with when they are 6, you know, that age.
Okay.
Let's start by saying, when you eat, take your things to the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And even just rinse it.
Rinse it. Very small. Because you train them not to be dependent on you and others. You train them that when you wake up in the morning, make your bed. Nobody is going to make that bed for you. Hey, what? These are socks. Pick them up. Take them to the dirty clothes hamper. Do the little things. And then when they are school going and they come to you and they are having trouble with other kids, ask them, teach them to problem solve. So son, this kid said this to you, and how did you feel? I felt this way. So what do you think you can do? Ask them to tell you what they think. Teach them to be able to problem solve, so that we are not spoon feeding them. What happens is that we either completely are not training our children, or we are actually training them to be dependent. There is something we call differentiation in family therapy. And differentiation means I emotionally detach from my family, but I become kind of independent, but I'm also dependent on them. So like we are saying, when I leave home, I don't detach completely from them. What I do is I develop my own independence within the family setup. So I'm still part of the family. I'm there for what they need me for, but my family is also allowing me to express myself the way I.
But at the same time, that's really good, But at the same time, now we have people who are not 6 years old anymore. They are probably 27. They're already past the stage of take your plate to the kitchen. So the damage is already done. what should those people do? They're already suffering from the societal pressure. That's what they have to deal with every single day.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a contribution to the suicide rates in the country, especially for men, you know.
But you know, Nixie, she's giving the prognosis and the solution.
For the early aged people.
Exactly. So you see, you fix a problem by, yes, the problem is here, but how do we avoid it?
Yes.
How do you not raise many more of those kinds of kids? So I just wanted to add two things. Even though I'm not a parent, I've raised many kids. I have, you know, nieces. I love kids, so I raise even my, you know, anywhere where I am, I interact a lot with the kids. And one of the things that is a little disturbing, and which I advise on how to manage, you know, kids will just cry all the time and for everything.
And whine.
Yeah, just, you know,
Sorry,
you know.
I said that.
So you don't want to encourage that.
No.
You don't want to encourage that as a parent or a guardian.
Right.
You know, so that the kid is not just crying because they can't eat these, and yet these are made of ceramic, but they look like candy, but they want to eat that. And if they can't eat that, they want to cry. So you don't want to encourage that, number one. And then number two, once again, for boys, so I'd be the kind of dad that will teach my boy how to kind of relate and stand his ground.
Yes.
Because it's also very sad. There's so many issues in this society that are unspoken. To see how big bullying is, right from when they're young to high school.
True.
Like bullying is now such a quiet and institutionalized thing, which also actually goes into adulthood. And even the system expects that, oh, you know, you're going to be in jail, so you're going to be more than bullied and sodomized and all of that. And it starts somewhere. So you want to train your child to stand their ground, you know, to not just be loved at home. I mean, what's the point if your mom loves you at home, but you're being bullied at school? They take your lunch, they beat you up every day.
Yes,
So I think that in raising independent children, you must instill the values, but also some strengths. No crying over nonsense, and also don't just allow her to kick you around because she's a diva.
Yeah, and don't do the whole thing that we do, that men don't cry. My firstborn.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we actually mentioned
And we don't want to do that. We have different temperaments, and we need to understand that even in my own family with 5 of us, we are so completely different. My mother just needed to look at me, and I am straight. And there is this the other person in the family who mom looks at her and she goes, "What?" And then, you know, but you know what? When mom leaves, I don't do my chores. She will, because we are so different. I am like that because I'm phlegmatic, you know, melancholic. I don't want to hurt anybody. I want to cause. So we have also, as parents, to understand the temperaments of our children. There is something that when you were talking about the child who cries a lot, there is something that we are missing out in the society today, and that is now going into the 20-somethings who are acting like 6-year-olds.
Exactly.
Because our parents did not teach us how to self-soothe. So go to the no, it's not.
Okay.
It's up to the person. You see, the thing is,
it's late but not too late.
It's late, but it's not too late. That means the person who is in relationship now with this 27-year-old needs to have very, very clear boundaries. Don't be a parent. You know, don't be a parent to that person. And I'm speaking now to the young people who are dating, young adults who are dating, people who are not independent. You need to create very serious boundaries around this person so that they can, it's not that they don't have the skills, they do, but they are lazy. There is a laziness of, I don't want to, I want people to fix me, to fix my problem. I'm not owning it. So as a 27-year-old who is still not independent from mom and dad or from others, you have a dependent personality, it's time for you to sit back and look for a mentor. Be man, be woman enough to say, hey, there is a problem here, because if everybody is leaving me, I am the common denominator. Kuna chida fulani. Hebu tuangalie. So have a look in the mirror. Have a look in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself and begin to understand your values, begin to understand how you think, begin to understand your coping mechanisms and who you are. Who am I and who do I really want to be? And who do people say I am? A lot of us are...
Those two things, by the way, are very different.
Very different.
When you ask, who am I? And then you ask, who do people think you are? Sometimes those two are disconnected. They are not even on the same playing field.
Yeah,
okay, I want to take some questions now. Dr. Kariuki did not come here to joke. I hope you guys are taking notes and taking all this wisdom down because it's straight fire. But there's somebody who actually agrees. So he's said, or he or she, sorry, I said because I don't know who it is. We all know that man will leave his parents' home and join his wife now, the person that he's marrying, and the two will become one. And that means a lifetime together. But he wants to talk about patience. He's like, don't rush things. Starting a family is not starting a business. It's not, I don't think you should rush starting a business either, but okay. It's not something you should rush. Something comes with its lifestyle, no rush, take everything really slowly. And then there's somebody who is saying, I'm dating 3 ladies. Hey, this guy, him and Blueface, same WhatsApp group.
Let me ask you, does that mean you're blessed? Like if you have, you know.
I just like his honesty though, continue.
No, yeah, I like it. So he says, I'm dating 3 ladies, 2 have my kids, but 1 is in college. They both strongly love me. Of the ladies who have my kid though, it's not my choice. I'm stuck. Any advice? Kindly. This is from Joe.
Sorry, that last part again?
I want to understand, it's also a bit unclear, but it's, I'm dating 3 ladies, 2 have my kids, but 1 is in college, they both strongly love me. Of the ladies who have my kid though, it's not my choice, I'm stuck, any advice? Is this a situation, should we assume that it's a situation where
I think he's talking from the context of being trapped.
With a child, I guess?
Yeah, exactly, what they call being trapped. And that's very interesting because it raises another issue that I want to address. And I actually had another one now which has kind of escaped. It's interesting. I always do politics and I've realized there are more societal issues to discuss than even politics.
They probably work hand in hand though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So this guy, you know, there's been this phenomenon of you can kind of get a guy by having his child.
Right.
That's true.
That's how you get them to fully commit to you.
It's a very poor
it's very warped,
It's
very,
very
very
Also,
warped.
this child, excuse me, can we just acknowledge the fact that this child is a whole
human being. And that's
Why
what I tell,
are you bringing somebody into the
and
game?
That's what I tell. That's what I tell. That's what I tell a lot of my
play.
friends who are girls who say, "Oh, you know what? I'm so tired of men. I just want to have a child."
Be
And
ready to be.
That's a subtopic in this topic. You know,
Right.
I say all the time, and I've never gone to school for this, unlike her. I'm a business graduate.
But you're like, I will tell you.
Yeah, but I know this stuff. I tell them all the time, a child is not a pet. You know, a child is a human being. They feel like, oh, I just want a baby. Actually, let me go a step further and say, there are men that have been begged for a baby.
Child.
Yeah, like, nipatie tu mtoto, I know you're not serious, you'll never be serious with me, give me a child, etc. That whole approach is wrong for many reasons. Number one, even though they always say, oh, you know, it takes 2 to make a baby, etc., etc. I once had Ses Mutungi say this, and I totally agree 100%. If you're dating, if I'm dating her, it's excellent to have good communication. So that everything you want to do, it's necessary.
It's not excellent.
So everything that you do, you have the discussion.
Right.
Who are we? What do we want to be? Where do we want to go?
Yeah.
What are we even doing in the first place?
So the way Seth put it, she's a friend of mine in media, she's like, you know what? If you have a really good relationship, then have the decency, even though you're sleeping with your man, to ask him if you should get pregnant. And now what happens is, out of the blue, you know, guys are having fun, oh, oops, I'm pregnant. It's true, it's his responsibility, but you see, people feel cornered and caged, which is why they retaliate by punishing the child.
Right.
And this
Because you're a constant reminder
exactly
of something that happened.
So we've not had this discussion in a holistic fashion. Let me go to the other point that I wanted to bring because we don't have a lot of time. It's limited. We've also talked about this self-pressure or societal pressure or parental pressure that says, madam, you must get out of my house, wewe ni bure, nilikusomesha, etc., etc. So what has it led to? There's a discussion I saw on social media, which is a real discussion, and it's been there for a long time, on how many people, young people, 40, 42, 45, 38, that are living in Nairobi with their family, they have a nice job at Safaricom, etc. And their parents are living in the village in absolute squalor and poverty. That's another reality.
That's like another
because the guy just finally got out and he forgot.
Yeah.
So they just drive a nice Prado over Christmas to the grass thatched house for one day, and they're just like,
That's in that family attachment that
Yeah.
you're
exactly,
talking about.
exactly.
And
So these
part
are some
of-
of the fruits.
And part of that is family shame. That I am ashamed, and I've gone through this.
Of where I came from. In the
Because again, we don't differentiate from our families in a healthy way. We escape. And we don't need to do that. That's not a healthy way of transitioning into adulthood. The way we should transition into adulthood is acknowledge where we come from, acknowledge the strengths. I remember living in the village, coming to Nairobi and working with young people in Ridgeways and hearing their cries. And I'm thinking, why are you guys crying about that?
Right.
Because for me, my cry was different. And that's when I realized that even though my father and my mother didn't have a lot of things, their presence, because these kids were crying about, I haven't seen my mom and my dad in like a week. But they go to village market, they are given the driver to take them over here. And I realized the most important things for us in life is family. And our family is the foundation for a successful life. So if we can be able to differentiate from our family in a healthy way. So I have lived, nimetoka village, nimekuja Nairobi, and I have a good job and God has given me all these blessings. I go back and give back. It's actually biblical about giving alms to your parents. That it's regardless. I know there are a lot of people who say to me that my parents were horrible. They did all these things to me, and I agree. I do agree that there are parents who have really, really wreaked havoc on their kids.
Right.
And so there will be a process of forgiveness, a process of rebuilding. But before that happens, then the person, the adult who is in Nairobi and struggling with those relationships with parents, they need to go and get their own healing happening. So that you can be able to, because there is always the dissonance in your head. I love my parents, I hate them. And so either you are on the side of hate or you are on the side of love. And in family therapy, yeah, it goes back and forth. But in family therapy, we say that you want to start off by, first of all, becoming indifferent, so that you can actually find your way back into a healthy space.
But they say indifference is the opposite of love.
Yeah, indifference is the opposite.
So you're working your way backwards.
See, I know my stuff.
Yeah, so you don't want to go to turn the coin the other way. It's okay for you to come from here and you are indifferent, but during this indifferent period, what are you doing? Your goal is always to be able to find your own space. You clean up, and then you can come back and reconcile with your parents if that is possible. There are some situations where it can be almost impossible because of the abuse issues that were there. But that does not mean you cannot heal yourself. Don't bleed on others. Yeah, don't bleed on others.
Can I read a tweet
here?
Yes. Musa Omare says, at KTN Kenya, enjoying the Young People Dependency Challenge, Benji Ndolo. Ongea Kiswahili ndio vijana wa mtaa wafuatilie kidogo. Guys are tuned in and listening. So when she said dissonance, I'm like, what is that in Kiswahili?
What is indifference?
Help us here, Susan.
Nikukuwa na hisia mbili ambazo ziko opposite from each other.
That's the one. Let me ask. You talked about we've been talking about bringing children into the game and using it to trick somebody or something like that. Yeah. But then there's also like, I'm 38, I'm 40, I'm single, I'm a woman, and I want a family, and I don't have a man in my life. So why can't I ask to have a child and raise this child happily and lovingly?
The woman is not asking for support from the man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that case,
she's very independent.
It's
all
kind
she
of
wants
wrong.
is a baby.
It's kind of wrong to drill everything down to money. Money is important. But there's no justification for human life purely because there's money. Are you understanding?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
she wants a family. It's more than that.
yes, but I'm
single,
going to explain
I've
this
looked
in a
for a
very
man.
basic way.
Okay.
And this is what I explain to a lot of my friends as well. It's one thing if you try and 2 years later it doesn't work. It's another thing to consciously set out to deprive your offspring of a father. That's every child deserves a dad and a mom.
Family.
Yes.
That's very true.
But if the father figure comes later, maybe I
very
just don't
true.
have them right now and I want a family.
But you see,
What do I
Susan,
do?
you're not listening to what I'm saying. You don't want to set out. you don't set out deliberately
Okay.
like to get a sperm donor.
Okay.
Because in so doing, you satisfy your need, your
To have
maternal
this
instinct to
child.
have a child,
Right.
and you deprive your child
a
the
bit
opportunity to have a
selfish.
father, so it's selfish. It's
Okay.
at a very fundamental level.
Yes.
What you could do is try and hook up with someone and really try. And some 7 years down the road, you're like, look, I tried to be a wife. I'm a mom to this child. All this guy was doing was drinking, chapaing me, as we were talking about it here earlier.
That's true.
Roho safi, I tried. And you
did
know,
the
when
best
your
to the
kids
kid
grow,
as
they also
well.
ask you, Susan, I want to meet my dad.
Yeah, what happened?
What
That's
happened,
true,
etc.,
that's
etc.
true.
Actually, I had a friend of mine in the States, and the child was quite young. You know how they're very liberal and open there. The child was about 9, and you know how they have some issues. It was a boy, and she was just like, you know, Mom, no wonder Dad left you because you're such a bitch.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And you know, and she just came to me as a friend, and she's like, "How do I deal with this? Because the guy is really angry, and he's also, you know, some of these issues also come from, you know, the whole single parent setting where you have, you know, you feel, you know, for example, you go to school, other kids have a dad, you also want a dad, so some of
Yeah,
the
you feel
resentment
it.
is
It's
growing,
very,
And so she was just like, send him to his dad, but I was like, that's not a sustainable solution. She's like, yeah, this thing is getting hot because he's growing, and we are having differences, and guess what? He's just like, yeah, no wonder my dad left you.
Yeah, that's
my
so
God,
harsh.
That's very.
You guys better pay me
it's
for
hard to
this
reckon on.
information.
Yeah, you know.
This is like,
Invoice us.
Yeah,
But
I
guys,
will.
we are going to take a short break. But right after that, we'll continue with the conversation. Keep on tweeting us at #KTN Life and Style.
because you know the fight will come.